All right, guys, welcome to the show. We got a lot to get to, man. Lot to dive into today. So in just a second, we'll talk about Joe Biden shoving his foot in his mouth again. Or did he? Or did he? I might have some controversial takes on that. We'll get to Kamala Harris's closing argument, which was a giant speech she delivered at the Ellipse in D.C., which, of course, is where Trump spoke right before his supporters stormed the Capitol on January 6th. Massive attendance, man. I've read, up to 75,000 people attended her closing argument speech. So we'll break down the clips from that. I'm playing catch up as well. There was this explosion over on CNN where a Republican panelist got kicked off because of something he said to Mehdi Hasan's face, which became a big national scandal. We'll get to Elon Musk promising economic pain if Trump wins. Not the best last minute pitch for people to vote for your guy, if you ask me. We'll get to a really interesting story about how the polls may be underestimating Kamala Harris. I'll break that down for you. Megyn Kelly is now ripping the Trump campaign because of that rally at Madison Square Garden. We have Destiny and Mehdi Hasan versus Sarah Palin. And Joe Rogan reveals how the Kamala interview likely fell apart and is probably not going to happen. So everybody do me a big favor. Please subscribe to the channel. That helps out big time. It costs you absolutely nothing. And much love to everybody who supports this show on Patreon. If you'd like to, that link is below, or you could tip with the thanks button on YouTube. Remember, guys, I don't talk to any advertisers. I don't talk to any billionaires. I don't talk to any foreign governments. You guys fund this show $5 per month at a time. Or it's the default ads as well on YouTube that fund it. But very proud that we are actual independent media and not new corporate media like many of the other outlets in this space. All right, so without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. So Kamala Harris delivered her closing argument speech at the Ellipse yesterday. Like I said, giant crowd. I have a bunch of clips here for you. Obviously, there's some symbolism here with her giving the speech at the same place where Trump directed the mob to storm the Capitol. Let's start with this clip here.
Our democracy doesn't require us to agree on everything. In fact, we like good arguments from time to time. Just think of your own family, right? It's not the American way to not have disagreements. We don't shy away from robust debate. In fact, we like a good debate, don't we? We like a good debate.
Of course, she's alluding to when she kicked Trump's ass in that debate. That's what that line is.
And the fact that someone disagrees with us does not make them the enemy within. That's right. They are family, neighbors, classmates, co-workers. They are fellow Americans. And as Americans, we rise and fall together.
So, look, this is all the unity talk. I have to say, this unity talk from Kamala throughout this speech is going to come in handy given what Biden said later on after the speech or during the speech when he was doing an event with Latino voters. Lot to say about that. It's this big scandal on the right. I'll put it as part of this clip for you in just a second. But the unity talk is going to end up being very useful. Also, look, let's keep it real. One of the main reasons why she leans in to these kinds of talking points is because she's a black woman, and to many people in the country, she will code as far left. She will code as extreme or radical. And so she's worked overtime to say, I'm reasonable, I'm bipartisan, I'm moderate, I'll work with you, I'm going to represent all Americans, not just blue Americans. So she's really tried hard to lean into that theme. So now let's do this clip. I like what she says here, and then I also like the crowd's reaction.
You will pay even more if Donald Trump finally gets his way and repeals the Affordable Care Act, which would throw millions of Americans off their health insurance and take us back to when insurance companies had the power to deny people with pre-existing conditions. Well, we are not going back. We are not going back.
So notice something. She decided to override Biden's staffers who came on board her campaign and told her, stop using the weird talk about Republicans and stop saying we're not going back. They told her, hey, it's too negative. We don't like it. Well, guess what? She stopped using it for a while. Her poll numbers went down and she decided, forget that. It was working when I did it. We're going to bring it back. And so now they're out there saying we're not going back. And she used it in the context of talking about Obamacare, which is intelligent, especially because the cat just got out of the bag. Remember when Trump said the other day, me and Mike Johnson have a secret. We have a secret for you that I think you're going to really like. Well, that secret apparently is that Mike Johnson, if Trump wins, they're going to try to overturn Obamacare as one of their first moves, right? Look, he already tried this. It was a bill called, I think, the American Health Care Act, or, we called it for short Trump Care. That's how the media referred to it. It had like 8% support in the country, and that bill would have gotten rid of protections for pre-existing conditions. This is at the same time that Trump was going around the country saying, we're going to protect your pre-existing conditions. We're going to protect your pre-existing conditions. Then his bill that he was trying to get passed, it made it so it was optional for states if they want to be part of it or not. And what would have happened is all of the red states would have said, we don't want to do protections for pre-existing conditions. So her calling that out directly is brilliant. All right, more. So now this is probably the most substantive part of the speech where she gets into policy and she talks about what her priorities are going to be.
We're not going back because we also know Donald Trump would deliver tax cuts to his billionaire donors. I will deliver tax cuts to working people and the middle class.
They have really been leaning into this down the stretch. The ads that the Kamala campaign are spending the most money on, the ads that they're really focusing on and blasting out there throughout the swing states, right? It's all Trump's a billionaire. He's going to cut taxes for billionaires. Here's a picture of him with Elon Musk. Here's a picture of him with Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not kidding. That's an ad that we're seeing here, right? These are the ones that they're spending hard on. What ads are the Trump campaign spending hard on now? Anti-trans stuff. I'm not kidding. The closing ads that they are leaning into, it's anti-trans stuff. The closing ads that Kamala's leaning into, economic populism like you're seeing right here. Guys, they got their shit together. Look, when people compare this to 2016 and Hillary Clinton, understand something. Kamala is running a campaign that is significantly better than Hillary Clinton's campaign was.
Make sure you have a chance not just to get by, but to get ahead. Because I believe in honoring the dignity of work. I will enact the first ever federal ban on price gouging on groceries.
Brilliant. Look, she came out with this early on when she became the pick, and then Republicans flipped out, called her a communist, called her an extremist, called her far left, called Tim Walz a Maoist. I'm not kidding about that. And guess what? They backed off it for a little bit because they were taking a lot of heat over it. But that was brilliant politics to run with that because you are baiting your opponent into overreacting and arguing in favor of price gouging. And so now, again, she revived it. She brought it back. I think it's brilliant.
Cap the price of insulin and limit out-of-pocket prescription costs for all Americans. I will fight to make sure that hardworking Americans can actually afford a place to live. I'll never forget how our mother saved up and how excited she was when she could finally afford to buy our first home. I remember how excited she was. And I know that owning a home is not only a measure of financial security, it's about the pride of your hard work. And as president, I will fight to help first-time home buyers with your down payment take on the companies that are jacking up rents and build millions of new homes. For years, we have heard excuses about why America can't build enough housing. Enough with the excuses. I'm going to cut the red tape and work with the private sector and local governments to speed up building and get it done.
YIMBY stuff here.
And the cost of housing isn't the only financial pressure on middle-class families. I have met so many young people who have a natural desire to parent their children well, but not always the resources to do it. So I'll fight for a child tax credit to save them some money, which will also lift American children out of poverty. I'll work to lower the cost of childcare, which is out of reach for too many working families today. And for too many people in the sandwich generation who are raising young children and taking care of a parent, juggling all of it is extremely difficult. You know, I took care of my mother when she got sick, cooking food that she had a taste for, finding clothes that would not irritate her skin. And understand, as I do, that caregiving is about dignity. It is about dignity. And currently, if you need home care and you don't have some money to hire someone, you and your family need to deplete your savings to qualify for help. That's just not right. So we're going to change the approach and allow Medicare to cover the cost of home care so seniors can get the help and care they need in their own homes.
Super populist. Super populist. I mean, this is strong stuff. This is a good closing argument. Now she's going to lean in here to some attacks on Donald Trump. Here we go.
And Donald Trump has told us his priorities for a second term. He has an enemies list of people he intends to prosecute. He says that one of his highest priorities is to set free the violent extremists who insulted those law enforcement officers on January 6th. Donald Trump intends to use the United States military against American citizens who simply disagree with him. People he calls, quote, the enemy from within. America, this is not a candidate for president who is thinking about how to make your life better. This is someone who is unstable, obsessed with revenge, consumed with grievance, and out for unchecked power.
Can we just say she's spitting here? Like, this is just factual. This is just factual.
Donald Trump has spent a decade trying to keep the American people divided and afraid of each other. That is who he is. But America, I am here tonight to say that is not who we are. That is not who we are. That is not who we are.
She goes on to say at one point, Donald Trump has an enemies list. I have a to-do list. It's solid. It's solid. And, you know, what's the Republican retort to this? They say, well, hold on. You guys are the one politically persecuting Donald Trump, so you can't say he's out for revenge. You did it to him. But the problem with that is he just committed crimes. So what do you want people to do? Overlook the crimes? Not charge the crimes? And the answer to that is yes. They say, no, don't charge the crimes. There were 91 criminal charges against Donald Trump. I've yet to hear any conservative Republican dive into the details, dive into the specifics, read an indictment or two, and say, here's why all of this doesn't make sense. Because they know that a lot of it does make sense. They know that it's not the case that all 91 charges are bullshit. He's already been convicted on some criminal charges in New York. And of course, they're gumming up the works in Georgia and in D.C. And there's a pro-Trump judge who basically threw out the biggest slam dunk case, which was the classified documents case. So they know that. They can't argue on the specifics. So they just stick to generalities. They're like, oh, you guys are going after him. So it's not that he wants to go after you. You went after him unfairly. No, the justice system went after him because he commits brazen crimes out in the open. Let's be clear about that. When he says, I'm going to go after Democrats, he does not mean we're going to dot every I and cross every T and make sure that we're getting people on real crimes. And the reason I know that is because, so there have been Democrats who've been charged with crimes recently, say Eric Adams, and Republicans are defending him. They're defending him. He's massively corrupt with Turkey, and they pretend like, no, the deep state is only going after him because he said he's anti-immigration now. Like, what am I going to do with these people? What am I going to do with these people? We also have this one where she's talking about Trump.
And here is my pledge to you. I pledge to seek common ground and common sense solutions to make your life better. I am not looking to score political points. I am looking to make progress. I pledge to listen to experts, to those who will be impacted by the decisions I make, and to people who disagree with me. Unlike Donald Trump, I don't believe people who disagree with me are the enemy. He wants to put them in jail. I'll give them a seat at the table.
Again, more of the bipartisan stuff, more of the unity stuff. And as I pointed out, a lot of this has to do with she is viewed by default by many Americans, unfortunately, as extreme or radical simply because she's a black woman. So it's an attempt to reassure everybody, bro, I'm cool, I'm chill, I'm bipartisan, I'm reasonable, I'm not out there, I promise you. That's what this language is. And again, in just a second, I'll show you it comes in handy because of the thing that Biden said on this same night.
I pledge to you to approach my work with the joy and optimism that comes from making a difference in people's lives. And I pledge to be a president for all Americans. and to always put country above party and self.
All right, so there you go. Look, that's the gist of her closing argument. I think it was a strong speech. I think it went after Trump in the right way. I think it hit the right note. I think it was economically populist. These are just some of the clips. I actually haven't seen the entire thing yet, but I plan on doing that later today. Okay, but now here's the scandal. Ready? I don't see conservatives, I don't see Republicans talking about her closing argument speech. I see some chatter about it in liberal circles and in leftist circles. Republicans are not saying much about this. Why? Because they are hyper-focusing on something that Joe Biden said the same night. He was doing some Latino outreach event, and he was talking about Trump's MSG rally. And here's what he says. Ready? I got the transcript here for you, because all the clips, the only clip I can find is like the 10-second one, right? I want you to get the entire comment. So here's what he says. And just the other day, a speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know, or a Puerto Rico where I'm from. In my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable, and it's un-American. It's totally contrary to everything we've done, everything we believe in. So the right took this and ran with it. They're trying to turn it into the Hillary Clinton deplorables comment 2.0. That's what the level of outrage is like. And look, right now people are debating. I see many people saying, he's stumbling, he's bumbling, he's falling all over himself, but the point he's trying to make is about Tony Hinchcliffe and the hatred among MAGA for Puerto Rico, right? That's the argument on the liberal side and the Democratic side. And on the conservative side, they're saying, no, you're just calling all of us garbage. You're just calling every Trump supporter garbage. So that's what they're saying. Now, later on, Biden comes out and tweets the following. He says, earlier today, I referred to the hateful rhetoric about Puerto Rico spewed by Trump supporters at his Madison Square Garden rally as garbage, which is the only word I can think of to describe it. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable. That's all I meant to say. The comments at that rally don't reflect who we are as a nation. So this is Biden coming out saying, no, I wasn't calling 50% of the country garbage. I wasn't calling all Trump supporters garbage. I was saying that the hateful rhetoric pointed at Puerto Rico is garbage, and the people who were spreading that are garbage, right? So now again, big outcry, the right's melting down and shitting themselves, and they're very upset about this. I want to remind you guys of something. Here's a clip from that very MSG rally that Biden is criticizing. You ready for this? We actually covered this the other day, but I have to show it to you again. At a Trump rally, one of the earlier speakers representing Trump and his campaign said the following. Here we go.
Bastard, that Hillary Clinton, huh? What a sick son of a bitch. The whole fucking party, a bunch of degenerates. Lowlives, Jew haters, and lowlives. Every one of them. Every one of them.
The whole party, talking about Democrats, they're degenerates. They're Jew haters. They're lowlives. And if it was unclear, he goes on to say, every one of them. Now, did I hear any reaction about this particular clip from even liberal and Democrat and lefty Twitter? You know, this clip got 2.1 million views, but it's on this account, the Rupar account. We covered it on our show. This didn't make it to CNN. This didn't make it to MSNBC. This didn't make it to any of the nightly news. I haven't seen this clip on other, new media outlets. So this came out. I didn't see much chatter about it. Again, we talked about it. Not many other people talked about it. Did the Republicans go, hey, now? Let's not be like Hillary Clinton with her deplorables comment. Let's be reasonable. Let's not call everybody on the other side lowlives and degenerates and Jew haters. Don't you think that's unfair? Don't you think you're generalizing? Don't you think you're overreaching? Hey, man, if you don't view them positively, then obviously you're not going to try to reach out to them. You're not going to try to help them. These are fellow Americans, bro. These are fellow Americans. That didn't happen, right? So, in other words, I don't know what Biden meant. I don't know if he was calling all Trump supporters garbage or if he was just referring to the hatred towards Puerto Rico and Tony Hinchcliffe and the people who were cheering it on. I don't know. But to be honest with you, I don't really fucking care at this point. I don't care. Because Trump says stuff like that on a daily basis and nobody bats a fucking eyelash. Trump calls everybody who disagrees with him fascists and communists. He called Joe Biden the Gestapo, right? That enemy within comment where he's not just talking about, hey, the people who disagree with me are the enemy within, but he's talking about deploying the military and the National Guard against those people. For these things to be equivalent, Biden would have had to say, yes, all Trump supporters are garbage, and I want to deploy the National Guard and the military against them. He didn't say that. He would never say that, and he doesn't believe that, and everybody knows that. So this is ginned up fake outrage, right? And then the other thing is, look, let's be serious with each other here for a second. How does this guy actually feel? I take him at his word. I think he feels the way he's talking right now. I think he thinks everybody to the left of him, to the left of fucking Genghis Khan, this is how he thinks of them. You're a lowlife, you're a degenerate, you're a Jew hater, you're everything bad in the world if you vote Democrat, or even if you're just not on the Trump train. Even if you're just, hey, I don't like either candidate, I'm sitting it out. To this guy, I think he thinks you're garbage. I think that's his real feelings, okay? And if you want to have an open conversation, you want to have an honest conversation, you want to have a fair conversation, you believe that, you know what I say? That's great. I want you to think I'm garbage. Because the things that you think are actually garbage, right? You are backing Donald Trump, who said he wants to terminate the Constitution. Terminate the Constitution. He wants to do a mass deportation of like 20 million people. He did countless interventions foreign policy-wise and massively increased drone strikes and had a 330% increase of civilians in Afghanistan. Massively cut taxes for the wealthy, deregulated, got rid of a lot of clean air rules and clean water rules. 2 million people lost health insurance under him. You support him. You support his authoritarianism. So I think the things that you believe are garbage, and you think the things that I believe are garbage. I'll take it. That's fine with me. I want you to think I'm garbage, because if you think I'm not garbage, if you think I'm a good guy, what you're saying is, oh, you're a fascist like me, and I like that. So let's just be honest about it, right? Guys, I was the guy in 2016 who took a lot of incoming fire, because I was somebody who would say, look, you really can't paint all Trump supporters with a broad brush. Yes, Trump says a lot of horrible things like the immigrants and rapists and criminals. I assume some are good people. He says stuff like he wants to do a Muslim ban, a total and complete shutdown of Muslims until we can figure out what the hell is going on. There's plenty of people who supported Trump because of his bigoted policies, right? And that's condemnable and bad. But I said back then, look, there's also people who are not supporting him for that reason. There's also people who are supporting him for totally different reasons. He's out there talking about trade, saying Hillary Clinton outsourced all your jobs. I'm going to protect your jobs. If you're one of the people who's supporting him because you're afraid of your job being outsourced and you think he's going to protect it, that's understandable, right? If you are supporting him because he's postured as against the establishment and he's postured as against the corruption, right? I can understand that. So it wasn't the case that in 2016, all Trump supporters were just these bad people, full stop. It's not like they were all garbage, full stop. People had different reasons for supporting him, some of them better than others. But here's the problem. We are no longer living in 2016. We're no longer living in 2016. He didn't end the wars. He didn't stop the corruption. He didn't stop the outsourcing. In fact, he increased it. We lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs under his presidency. He became incredibly authoritarian, tried to overturn the last election to stay in power. You go down the line, and he has been objectively horrible on all of those things. I have no problem in the year of our Lord 2024 looking everybody in the eyes and saying, that is garbage. That is garbage. And if you're supporting him, you're either wrong or you are colossally ignorant on the facts and you're just voting based on vibes. And that also is condemnable. It's a different kind of condemnable, but it's still condemnable. He makes you feel good. Well, I don't fucking care about your feelings. I care about objective material well-being of the American people. Right? And he's against that. He has destroyed that. He's been horrible on that front. So look, if we're going to have an honest conversation, let's have an honest conversation and put all the fake outrage to the side. This guy thinks I'm garbage. I think he's garbage. That's fine. Let's be adults about it. Let's be adults about it. I'll let him make his argument and I'll make my argument. And I'm pretty fucking sure my argument is a hell of a lot stronger than this freak. Right? So, in other words, even if Biden meant the harsher view of it, I don't care. We're not going to play this fucking game again. We're not going to go, oh, Hillary with deplorables. Oh, she said half of Republicans. Half of Republicans are deplorables. Now, I just saw a poll the other, and I think we're going to cover this poll tomorrow. Do you know what the number is? Listen to this, guys. This is unbelievable. Do you know what the number is of Republicans who say, if Kamala wins, I will say the election is rigged and wasn't fair. You know what that number is? 72% of Republicans are saying that. I'm supposed to not call that garbage? I'm supposed to not call that garbage. Get the fuck out of here. Just get out of here. This is ridiculous. We're not playing this game. We're not playing this game. Trump is the king of divisive, incendiary rhetoric. His team are the kings of basically being like, fuck everybody who doesn't agree with us, fuck your feelings. And then when they get a little taste of their own medicine bag, it's, you said you don't like us. Oh, please. You hate everybody who's to the left of you. You're in no position to do this crocodile tears bullshit, right? So anyway, and again, by the way, I actually don't think it's an unreasonable interpretation to say stumbling, bumbling, fumbling Biden was trying to talk about the hatred towards Puerto Rico and Tony Hinchcliffe and the people cheering that in particular. I don't think that's an insane interpretation of what he said when you read the whole thing in context. But anyway, so as I said, it turns out that this became the fake scandal last night, but all those lines then about Kamala Harris giving her closing argument speak where she's talking about unity and she's talking about being reasonable and bipartisan and coming together and I'll listen to people who disagree with me and stuff like that was perfect timing for her to make comments like that, because then it's very easy for Democrats to be like, who cares what Biden says? Biden's going gonzo. The next administration, he's going to be laying on a beach somewhere. Fuck that. Who cares about what he says? She is the one who's leading the ticket, and listen to what she said about it. And that is 50 zillion times more reasonable than what your guy is saying on a regular basis. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.